Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gen Talks, a podcast where we talk about mindset, listening to our intuition, trusting our gut, channeling our inner voice, our self awareness, love, relationships, emotions. We all have them, but we don't want to talk about them. Don't get me started on that one. How to cope with the loss of a loved one and what those healthy coping mechanisms look like, the rules of fitness, and so much more. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer, spelled with two N's, but I'm a Jen with one N. I know it's a little complicated, but I like to keep it simple, and that's why it's, Jen with one N. So there's been a little bit of a change up and a little change in plans over here. At the end of the last episode, where I talk about secure, healthy attachment styles versus insecure, unhealthy attachment styles, I mentioned this episode would be based around the fight or flight response. I decided to change the course and talk about the truth behind a word that everyone fears. But before we jump into today's episode, I have a note I would like to share with you. Before I start writing an episode, I always write my purpose down to keep it in the forefront of my mind as to why I'm doing this podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to change lives one episode at a time. If it means I'm impacting one person, then I've done my job. If I'm impacting 2, 3, 4, 20, 100, or a million people's lives, I've done my job. I want to go to bed at night and ask myself, how did I make an impact today? When I'm 80 years old, I want to look back on my life with no regrets and ask myself if I made an impact on the others, on any other people that I've met. And if the answer is yes, then I've done my job. I also want to give someone credit for this episode. Joe Toth, if you are listening, this one is for you, since you're the one who gave me this idea. If you don't know Joe, he's a dear friend of mine and personal trainer over at Anytime Fitness in Windermere, who he actually has over 20 years of experience in the industry and not only focuses on strength training, but understands both the emotional intelligence and mindset piece as well. If you don't know him, well, you should, because he is the real deal. While I was talking to Joe, we were discussing the job hunt that I've been on, along with the whole interview process, and how after an interview, you may walk away feeling positive, maybe even imagining yourself in the role, and maybe even placing an image in your mind of you getting the phone call saying that you were hired. But sometimes it does not work out that way. And when it doesn't work out how we imagined, well, we feel a natural feeling, which is rejection. And how rejection means that this door we are trying to open is not meant for us to open and to walk through. And that is how this episode came about. So thank you, Joe, for not only listening, but for actually directing me to this topic of how rejection is actually redirection. So let's dive in. Jen, what is this? Debbie Downer, like the show from Saturday Night Live? You know what? Hold on. This is a positive topic here. Okay. So hold your horses. Hold your horses. Give me a chance. I know I've been gone for a bit of, for like a month. I'm sorry. Okay. The job hunt is driving me up a wall here. But let's get back to the podcast and let's keep moving forward. Okay? Okay. This sneaky R word known as rejection is something everyone faces and fears on a daily basis, which can sometimes keep us in our comfort zone. Is this feeling normal? Oh, yes, it is. Because when we leave our comfort zones, our cocoons, or step out of our shells, we are in the unknown or we are in the gray, and that can be scary. But that is how we grow. Anything new we face in our lives can be uncomfortable and overwhelming. But I have a secret to tell you. So huddle in. When we step out of our comfort zones, it's always worth it in the end because you prove it to yourself that you can do it. For example, introducing yourself to someone that you may have wanted to talk to for a while, but may worry how this person is going to respond, whether or not this person wants to engage in a conversation, and how this conversation is going to go. In these moments, we get into our own heads, maybe even try to plan verbatim or word for word what we are going to say and what this other person might say, and mentally map out the whole conversation. So what's happening is we are placing ourselves in an imaginary world where we control the conversation, the desired outcome of how we want a certain situation to work out, and what the final result should be. But in reality, that isn't the case. Our minds automatically float up to the imaginary world where we escape the present moment and set our eyes on an image in our minds. And we think to ourselves, well, if I say hi to this person, then he or she will say hi. And then he or she will say this, and I will say this. This is how the conversation is going to flow. And I'm honestly getting mentally exhausted just saying that out loud, to be honest. But hey, it happens since we are meant to dream and imagine, and depending on that dream, turn into reality. And I'm going down this other road. So let me just kind of back it up here. All right. Beep, beep, and focus on the podcast. Okay. Let's move along here. Another example might be working up the courage to ask someone out for coffee or on a date. Let's say you and this love interest have been talking for quite some time as friends, but there is no movement into the next level of the relationship. And you decide to put yourself out on a limb and ask this person out on a date. There's a 50% chance this person could say yes, and a 50% chance this person could say no. You're standing at a fork in the road, and you don't know which direction this will take. But this person may either say yes or say no. You are literally standing in the unknown, which is scary but kind of cool, because when we are in the unknown, we are in movement and have clarity regarding our next steps. We have a better understanding in how to move forward and what is meant for us versus what isn't right for us. I know I'm going into a bit of a tangent here, and then I promise I'll bring it back. But when we are in the unknown, we are unsure of what is going to happen next, and we are no longer in control over everything in our lives. We may have a routine in our lives to provide structure and productivity, but there are gaps throughout our day where we are working in the gray and figuring out the next steps that feel right for us. Whereas if you operate your life under the black and white thinking or the dichotomy way of thinking, which I discussed in the second episode called The Rules of Fitness, we are living in the all or nothing mentality where everything is under our control. And if it isn't, then there is something fundamentally wrong with us. When in reality, we are not supposed to control everything in our lives. We are meant to be adaptable, flexible, and know that if something doesn't work out the way we want it to, it means there's something better out there, and to not stay attached to this solid outcome. Because if it doesn't work out the way that we planned, then that sneaky R word or rejection comes in. And we, in an instant, we start to feel as if there's something fundamentally wrong with us. But that's not true. It just means that every rejection you face, every no you hear, is actually a yes. A yes, in that there is something better waiting for you, and that every rejection is redirection. It's normal for us to create an image in our minds of how something will play out and for us to get lost in it. And when reality sinks in, it doesn't exactly match our imagination on how we want a scenario to play out, we automatically fault ourselves. It didn't work out that way I wanted to. It has to be my fault. Maybe it was something I said, maybe how my hair looked, how I was standing. And we come up with these reasons as to why it didn't work out the way we wanted it to. But let's entertain this thought. Hear me out here. What if it didn't work out the way you wanted to because it's not meant for you? What if this door that you're trying to open doesn't open because it's forced and isn't a part of the natural path you're meant to take in your life? Or let's say you're working through the aftermath of a relationship and feel rejected because it didn't work out. That's when the self-reflection piece comes in so you can understand what happened, what caused the relationship to end or this door to close, and take a look at your characteristics, your actions, the mistakes that we made, and what kind of deep inner work we need to do to better ourselves and have a deep understanding of what we're looking for in our next relationship. Is it painful? Absolutely. Anything in life that you truly wanted to work out and actually ends up not working out in our favor can be pretty hurtful. Maybe that interview didn't work out in your favor because you may not have been, well, that was a tough one to get out. You may not be prepared enough or did not have the exact skills or the exact experience the job required. Maybe your salary requirements didn't match what they were offering, or the company decided to promote someone from within, or other people who are interviewing have connections, and so forth. It could be a number of things. But the important piece to remember is that rejection is redirection. And this job that you really wanted, this relationship or marriage that you wanted to work out, might be a sign that this door is not meant to open or needs to stay closed. And that's honestly okay. Does it suck in the moment? Yes. Are you going to feel down, sad, and disappointed? Yes, yes, and yes. But as I mentioned in the fourth episode, about the foundation of relationships, where I talk about the healing after a breakup, that you really have to feel it to heal it. And know, even though you can't physically see it, something better for you is right around the corner. You just have to remember to gather the lessons that you learn throughout the process. Bring those lessons with you and apply them to the next chapter or the next door that is meant for you to open. G's a little gem with one end. Can we just talk about these doors already? Like, what is this, Home Depot? You know, with that attitude, maybe you can go buy some wood and go build your own door. Okay? Okay, next. Oi. During the rejection phase, you might beat yourself up, and that's when it's important to ask yourself those questions of how can I do better next time? Was there possibly something I may have said or done to not get this job? Or did my words and actions cause this relationship to end? Whatever the case may be, learn from your mistakes and learn from the process so you don't repeat the same patterns again. And know that rejection is redirection in some shape or form. Maybe you got turned down from a promotion at work. Ask yourself why, or ask your boss why so you know how to improve next time. In life, rejection is about being better and being redirected towards something that is best suited for us. When it comes to the wave of emotions we may feel during this stage, it's going to be a mix. Here she goes again with her emotion talk. Yeah, I heard that. Thank you. The range of emotions might start in anger. Anger because you know you have this potential. You know you have a strong work ethic and may even feel angry at yourself and feel like a failure. You might even feel sad because you feel like you're not good enough. Something is wrong with you and you feel unwanted. When we get to that stage, we move into disappointment and self doubt, meaning we are disappointed in the outcome and might even question ourselves and wonder if we will ever get a job, be in a healthy relationship, and get to where we need to go in life. We feel down, and there are times when others stay stuck in the feelings that tie into rejection and never get out of them. Here's the deal: why are you stopping yourself from living the life that you want to lead? Because maybe you're let go from your job. Maybe that relationship didn't work out, or maybe your marriage ended. Why are you letting this one situation or this one person stop you from living your life? Just a thought. Just because something in life doesn't work out how you plan, it doesn't mean you give up. It means you do the inner work. Understand what went wrong. Put those boxing gloves back on and get back in the ring and fight. Even when you don't feel like fighting and going through the pain and the unknown mix of emotions that come with life, fight. Fight, fight, fight. Fight because we don't have forever on this earth. So stop acting like you live forever because you don't. Nothing in life is permanent. Pain isn't permanent. The feelings that link to rejection are not permanent. So learn and keep moving. I get it. When something doesn't go as planned, we automatically say, there's something wrong with me. I get it. I've been there too. And how I look at it now is rejection is redirection. Because when you try to open a door that is locked and it just won't budge and doesn't fit with your key, you are being protected from certain situations that may hinder your growth and really might be detrimental to you. What if this door that you're trying to open feels forced and doesn't feel natural? And maybe there is this desperation factor for this certain door to open. For example, when you go on an interview, you do the prep work beforehand and you know that you tried your best during that process. Here is what you do: let the door be. Wait. Practice patience and keep moving, because if that door is going to open, it will. Because either way, they will have to let you know if you get the job or not. So really, it is out of your hands and it's out of your control. Another example, let's say you go on a date and you get all dressed up, you're excited, and you feel that in your mind that this date went well. But maybe your date didn't feel the same way. You know what you do? Let sleeping dogs lie and let it be. Don't try to force open the door of desperation. Out of desperation, don't knock on it. Don't even try to sneakily, bust out a paperclip or a bobby pin and try to pick out the lock. If it's meant, it's meant. Something else to think about, since it feels everyone nowadays is in a rush to get into a relationship without slowing it down. I mean, doesn't anyone know the Aesop fable of the tortoise and the hare? You know, when the tortoise wins the race every time? Is it just me? I don't even know anymore. But anyway, it's the same thing in relationships. When you force open a door to get into a relationship with someone, you're wasting your time and energy. And just the thought of something feeling forced or being forced is already making me exhausted. So just please do me a favor. Stop forcing. Just grow into a better person and just be you. And you will know when that door will open because it won't be complicated. It will feel natural and just right. Like enough with this door talk. Like, how do you even open these doors anyway, Jenny? Jenny? Did she just call me Jenny? Oh, hell no, girl. You should be so lucky that I'm behind this screen, okay? But I am Zen, Jersey Jen with one N. Okay? Jenny, please. Ha. Anyway, so how do we open these doors? Well, something to keep in mind is that every person on this earth is born with their own unique key designed specifically for them to open doors that are meant to lead them down their own individual path. I carry this key with me everywhere I go because honestly, you never know when opportunity strikes. But the purpose here is that when you face rejection or every time you get turned down from something or receive a no in life, it might mean you are not supposed to be here and that this is not going to help you advance or grow in life. And whatever is on the opposite side of this door might only do you more harm than good. Will you learn lessons? Yes. But remember, when it doesn't open, it's a message of why are you trying to put yourself through something that might drag you down where you can't get back up and live your life and live your purpose? Think about that when you're forcing something because when you let go, you will release control, gather your self respect, and move forward. When something is forced, doesn't feel right, and your inner voice is yelling at you, listen to that voice and run. Move away from the door and keep walking because the biggest disservice that you can do to yourself is not listen to yourself. And don't change who you are to the core to unlock the door. We are rhyming. I'm loving this. I love it. I love rhyming. I'm just, I could be a poet. What am I doing here? But anyway, don't change who you are to the core to unlock the door. Stay true to you. And when you know who you are, the doors will open naturally. When something doesn't happen right away, we become angry or fed up. But when that happens, you're being taught patience. When something you want right away is not in your reality, that door that you are trying to open doesn't open and is locked or bolted shut, you're being taught patience. Patience meaning there is something better out there for you. You just have to wait and trust that the more you walk and the more you are in movement, within time, that door you've been waiting for, another rhyme, I'm not going to say it, the more, try not to laugh here, will show up. And that key you were born with will naturally unlock the door that was designed for you and your journey. We live in a world where we want everything to happen on our time and for it to happen in an instant. But here's the deal. When something doesn't happen right away, you're being taught patience and the notion to believe that it will happen if you keep going no matter what. When something doesn't immediately go the way that we want it to, a whole mix of emotions swoops in where we start to feel like there's something wrong with us. That person didn't want to go on a date and I'll be single forever, or I didn't get hired and I'll never get a job. See the black and white or the dichotomy extreme way of thinking? And hey, honestly, I'm human. I get them too. In a flip of a switch, it just boom, happens. We automatically beat ourselves up, feel angry, sad, lost, and maybe confused. These feelings interject because we instantly create an image or movie in our minds where we see ourselves in this relationship or working with people that that interviewed us and mentally and emotionally attach ourselves to that image in hopes it will become our reality. And that's normal because we want that job, that relationship, friendship, business venture, or concept to manifest itself into our physical world. For example, we hold on tight to these images or these mini films or certain events or conversations panning out the way we want. And when it doesn't happen, sadness, streaks of anger, and disappointment strike, and maybe we feel hopeless, lost, and confused. We know within our hearts that we have the potential to succeed and be the best we can be, and if only we were given a chance to show it. But just because you're not hired by one specific company or someone decided not to go on a date with you does not mean there is something wrong with you. Just because you have to pivot when you are starting a business does not mean you have to stop pursuing what you want. It means when you pivot, you're being redirected into something that might be better for you. Is it frustrating when it isn't easy? Yes, it really is. But that just makes you fight even more for what you want. All of these feelings are normal because we automatically place these individualistic scenarios on a pedestal and say, yes, this is how it's going to happen. This is how the conversation will flow. They're going to hire me on the spot. But what happens when we hold onto those images or scenarios in our minds and it doesn't actually go to plan in our reality? What do we feel? Right? We feel let down. We start questioning ourselves. The sadness comes in because we were hoping and wishing this would enter our lives and become disappointed that we are not experiencing it right away and ask ourselves, why not me? It's okay to feel sad because we actually all put all of our eggs in one basket and wish and hope it happens. And when it doesn't, you feel confused, lost, and you probably may even say to yourself, I don't get it. When will it be my time? I've been there. So I completely understand, but I'm going to tell you something that I tell myself from time to time that keeps me at ease. Are you ready? Here we go. Everything in life is not going to happen on your time, and you are always on time. Meaning everything happens for a reason, and when you feel delayed or slowed down, you're not. You're actually right on time. If you look back on your life and see how you got to this point, you will see why you walked through those delays in your life. How point A led you to point B, which led you to point C. And all these experiences in your life got you to this very point in this very moment. Or how when you opened this door, it led you to another door, which brought you into this very moment that we're in right now. Once you go back in time and take that journey, you find the energy to keep pushing and keep fighting for what you want. Just because something you want in this very moment is not happening now doesn't mean it will never happen. And if it doesn't happen on our time, we beat ourselves up. Well, why do we beat ourselves up? Because we feel that if we don't get what we want right away, which is the immediate gratification piece, we failed. And we enter into the realm of extreme ways of thinking. For example, this company didn't want to hire me. I'm a failure. And no one will ever hire me. If this person doesn't want to date me, I'll be single for the rest of my life. And honestly, I get it. Those feelings are frustrating to sit with and walk through. I've been there, and it's painful at times because you start to drop yourself down and undermine who you are. But who are you to undermine yourself? Who are you to drag yourself down because of someone else? Why are you putting yourself down because you were rejected? Never let anyone or anything take you. And something I'll repeat is that rejection is redirection. This is where self-reflection comes into play, and this piece of the process is very important because we are able to understand our emotions and work through them. When we sit with ourselves, take time to feel and move through the anger, the disappointment, and sadness, do you know what we do? We get back up and fight. We fight for ourselves, fight for what is right for us and what we want. That's what we do, and as we learn the lessons, we keep pushing forward. We hold on tight to our customized key. I know, it's right here. Whoop, can you see it? And we keep taking chances and risks because the more you do that, the more you are in movement and keep moving forward. You will not only have more confidence in yourself, but you'll prove how resilient you are and eventually open the door that belongs to you. So the moral of the story is when you get rejected or knocked down, Remember, it is only redirection. And to put those boxing gloves back on and fight, channel your inner Rocky Balboa. Keep moving and always lead with your heart. Fight for your path forward no matter how many times you get turned down or turned away. Keep going. This is your life. And when we get knocked down, it builds character. It sculpts you into the person you are meant to become. Rejection, although difficult to work through, is an opportunity and a chance for something better. We just have to believe. That's all. We must, and this is a mandatory agreement that we make with ourselves, that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how challenging something is, and no matter if we get knocked down 1 time, 2 times, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, we, and I repeat, we get back up and fight. And if I'm fighting, then I expect you to fight too. Deal? Deal. When you fight for your life, you will not only be proud of yourself, but will be grateful too. So work through your emotions in healthy ways, cut your losses, and move. As you move, know there's something better around the corner, or there's something better up the hall. Just don't give up. Because when you give up, you are doing yourself a disservice, and I will not allow it. If this door you're trying to open doesn't budge, take your hands off the doorknob and say, hey, it's not for me, and keep moving. Keep walking and moving forward, because the door you're meant to open and walk through might be the next one, or it might be around the corner, but you will never know if you don't try. When this door doesn't open, well, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. This door is not for you. It is highly likely that you're being protected from something that is not meant for you, which is kind of cool, right? When the door that you're trying to open is locked and your key is not working, well, guess what? You're being given clarity in that very moment, because it is clear that this relationship that you wanted to be in, this job that you interviewed for, and really want to move to maybe to a different state, may not be where you actually belong. When your key does not match up with the grooves in the lock, it means in order for you to open this door, you have to change yourself or your key to fit in. Here's the deal. When you have to change any part of who you are to fit into a mold that is not naturally you, then let me save you the trouble, team. It's not going to work. And why won't it work? Well, because you're not being true to you. You're not being your true, authentic self. And you have to change who you are internally to fit into something that you are not. And when you change yourself into just being something that doesn't align with your morals or your values, well, you know what? It's game over. You lost. So the moral of the story here is, don't change your key to try to open a door that is not meant for you. Stay true to who you are. Go on the path of redirection and live your life in authenticity. And when the door you want to open doesn't budge, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many times you knock, you ring the doorbell, or how loud you knock and are trying to finagle the key in, take it as a sign that you need to loosen up control and understand that rejection is redirection, and that every no is a yes. Meaning every no in life is actually a yes, because it's a, hey, this is not for me, but there's something better. That's kind of a cool moment to have. Like, oh, this is not for me. All right, I'm going to keep moving. Let's do this. The takeaway is to not give up and to never settle for anything less than you deserve. I mean, honestly, life is too short for that crap anyway. And I'm not going to lie. Okay, I've been there too, especially with being on the job hunt, where I'm putting myself out there by applying and going through the interview process and hoping something shifts and I'm hired. I'll be honest and say there are times when I imagine getting hired right on the spot and I start working right away. There's nothing wrong with having those thoughts, since it just means you want to bring this into your reality and are ready to kickstart that part of your life. And you're excited for it too, but because you think that this is what is actually best for you. But what happens when it doesn't work out that way? What happens when you find out a week later you didn't get the job? And hey, honestly, I get it. And as I embark on this journey, I tend to honestly to imagine myself commuting to the location, learning, being a part of the team, and saying, hey, I can do this. And I'm sure you have similar thoughts too, where you imagine yourself getting a job, dating someone, being in a relationship, getting married, and so forth. When that happens, our minds float out of reality into a movie that we create in our minds, and we dwell there hoping that it'll be our reality. But sometimes when we do that, we ignore the signs that are telling us this isn't right, and we don't feel at ease. When our minds put a job or a person on a pedestal, we focus on those images but are those images actually the reality? Or are we seeking some sort of control in our lives? When we hold on tight to the reins, don't surrender or release control over the situation or the outcome, we find ourselves in an environment that isn't conducive for our growth and could be detrimental. So remember, when something doesn't work out for us, even though we truly want it to, and I've said this so many times, but it's so important to understand, it only means there's something better in store. Just have to give it time, patience, and believe. Believe in the process. Just because what you truly want is not happening in this very moment does not mean it will ever happen. It means that you have to hold on to that key. Keep walking, keep fighting, and move forward. It also means that you're being redirected to something better, something that more aligns with you, that best suits your needs, your soul, and feels natural and not forced. There are times we wholeheartedly think the things that we want the most in our lives are best for us, and we hold on to the reins, get stuck in the imagination or thought process so we can control the outcome, the path, and control what is around us. We tell ourselves this has to work. This has to be the right fit, the right path, the right place, the right person. But what if we are forcing it to happen or forcing it to work and it's not meant to? That maybe we are forcing for it to happen in our lives just doesn't belong on our path and doesn't truly align with us and won't help us grow into where we need to be. Maybe what we think is the right door for us to open just isn't. Another way of knowing when something is not right for you is by talking to your 3 internal fighters or your inner guides. Oh my gosh, what a great audience. Thank you. Great memory over here. Yes, your 3 inner guides, which I mentioned during the 6th episode, where I explained healthy or secure attachment styles versus the unhealthy or insecure attachment styles, and the importance of listening to those 3 musketeers or those 3 internal fighters. And no, not the chocolate, but it's good anyway. These 3 fighters or inner guides that I'm talking about are your intuition, your inner voice, and your gut. All 3 are meant to protect you in a positive way and guide you on your next steps so you can open the door that is right for you. When you're about to approach a door that you mentally think is the best path for you, and a strange force comes into your gut that makes you question otherwise, listen. Listen, because that is your gut signaling to you, hey, we better back up here. Okay, I sense some danger, and not in the face your fears kind of way, but in a something about this person, this job, or this situation just doesn't feel right. This feels off for a reason, and I don't really feel at ease. That right there is a sign that you need to put your magical key that was customized and made for you back in your pocket and keep moving. Please don't ignore those 3 fighters or inner guides that live within you. Please just don't. And also, just don't force something that is not for you. And please, never change yourself to fit into something that you're not. Lastly, don't try to bust out a bobby pin. Okay, I have one in my hair and one over here too. I'm not going to bust them out. Okay, and don't try to uncoil a paperclip to see how you can force the door open. Don't try any of those tricks because I'm going to know. All right, you cannot pull the wool over these eyes. Okay, these Jersey eyes. You can't do it. I see it all. All right. Also, don't even knock. If it's not going to open, move. Gather your self-respect and keep going. The key here is to remember rejection is redirection. And to quote a Scottish proverb, which is another lovely reminder that applies to this topic, And I love this. Actually, I have it on a Post-it note, and I look at it from time to time. But the Scottish proverb is, what is for you won't go by you. And I'll repeat both phrases just in case you want to write them down and keep them with you wherever you go. The first phrase is rejection is redirection. All right, so rejection is redirection. All right, here we go. All right, and also that is natural selection too. When you get rejected, you have to fight for what you want. So keep fighting. Just want to throw the little thought in there. The second phrase is what is for you won't go by you. Once again, what is for you won't go by you. So when you get turned down by something or someone where you may have been giving your hopes up, remember that this preconceived notion of how you expect something to pan out or play out is directed by seeking the need to control an outcome that might not be for our best interest. Don't force something. Don't question it. Just let it be. Hold on tight to that key you were born with. And you know it. Move forward. There's a reason why that relationship didn't work out. That person decided not to go on a date with you. The company you interviewed with didn't call back or hire you. I promise that once you open the door that works with the grooved edges of your key, you will see why those other doors were locked shut and didn't want to budge. Trust the process and never let anyone or anything take you alive. So remember, when something doesn't work out for us, even though we truly wanted to, it means there's something better in store. You just have to give it time, be patient, and believe. Just because what you truly want is not happening in this very moment, and as I said before, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It means that you have to hold on to that key. Keep the faith, keep walking, keep fighting, and move forward. Which leads us to our, what is it, team? Nota bene. Oh my God, 2 out of 2. Best team in the house. I'm loving it. But yes, nota bene, which is Italian for the note well section of the episode. You guys are the best. Dream team. Loving it. Always one step ahead. Let me get back on track here, okay? Got to calm down. A little too amped up with the coffee. But to wrap this all up, keep in mind that every person here is born with their own key that unlocks doors designed for them. That opens doors with experiences that will help shape and mold you for the person you are in the present and the person you will become in the future. Is it normal to get frustrated, pissed off when we feel let down and rejected? Yes. Is it normal to feel sad, disappointed when a particular outcome we wanted doesn't happen the way we planned? Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, big time. But remember, when something doesn't go your way or how you envisioned or planned it to be, you might be saved from something that isn't for you, that may not align with your core values, your morals, beliefs, and that whatever lurks behind the door that won't open may only cause you more harm than good. And if something does not happen in an instant, like getting hired, after an interview, or dating someone you have feelings for, it means that you're being taught patience, because if you can't practice patience within yourself, then how can you practice patience in the external world? It all starts from within. It's important to remember to loosen the reins or that need to control a situation and say to ourselves, hey, this is out of my hands. Okay, this is out of my hands. I'm going to back up and keep in mind that controlling an outcome is not going to bring it into fruition faster. Know that as long as you tried and you keep trying, it will work out. You just have to put the work in. You got to stay the course, and before you know it, you will be where you want to be. Just don't make rejection your home, because even though you don't know me, I'm not going to sit here and let you feel sorry for yourself. I'm not. Okay? Everyone here is for a reason. You just have to keep moving forward and believe in yourself, because no one is going to do that for you. While we embark on our path, we tend to compare ourselves to others and maybe even think to ourselves too, This person has their life together. They have the dream job or the perfect marriage. Yo, slow your roll. Okay? Why are you doing that to yourself? When you compare yourself to others, you are putting yourself in the box of rejection or surrounding yourself with it. Enough. If you're going to compare yourself to someone, compare yourself to you and grow in a positive direction. If you see someone who's at a point in their life of where you want to be, ask them how they got there. Learn from them and grow, because that is movement right there. And that type of movement within itself will unlock more doors that are designed for the true you. Another factor to keep in mind is my key is different than your key, and that's totally okay. It just means that my path might be different than yours, and who knows, maybe as we open our doors, we might meet somewhere along the way. We honestly never know. But the important piece to remember is just because one door doesn't open doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're pivoting. You are pivoting to something better. Remember those two phrases that I mentioned earlier that I asked you to write down so you can carry them with you everywhere you go? Well, here they are again. The first phrase is rejection is redirection. The second phrase, which is a Scottish proverb, is what is meant for you won't go by you. I don't want you to force opening a door either, okay? As I mentioned before, if it is locked, let it be locked. It's not opening for a reason, and when that happens, trust that you're being protected from something that is bigger than you. So, as I mentioned, I don't want you to go after this episode, go sneaking getting, bobby pins and paper clips and how can I get a credit card? No. All right? Don't even try. Don't try to how can I open this door? And Jen doesn't know. Oh, I know. So don't push it. All right? Let it be. Let sleeping dogs lie. Listen to those three inner fighters, or your intuition, your inner voice, and your gut, because they chime in and tell you when something, a job or a person doesn't feel right, or when it just something is off. This feels forced. This is too rushed. This doesn't work for me. Listen. That's a big sign right there within itself. You just have to pull away from the image in your mind and tune into what your inner fighters or protectors are saying. And last but not least, hold on tight to your key. Put those boxing gloves back on. Look ahead and keep moving, because what is meant is meant. And never, I repeat, never give up. Until next time on Gen Talks, where we talk about how we combat bullying. That's a big one. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and to like and follow on Spotify. Or if you want to follow me along on Instagram, on the big Instas, you can find me at Jen, with you already know it, with one N, Talks, TALKS. My gosh, I need more coffee. Podcast. Also, if you have any questions, have any ideas or topics that you would maybe want me to talk about, whatever it might be, let me know. Feel free to email me at gentalkspodcast@gmail.com. On that note, I want to thank you for tuning in, but more importantly, thank you for being you. Thank you for your patience, and also I want to send you peace, light, and love. Take care until next time on Gen Talks. Bye.